Oh, well, hi everybody, Mickey Mouse here, and we're going to read Wishtree. Just kidding. We are going to read Wishtree, and we need to get going. We got about 2 videos, this one and one more after that. And let's get going. Page 185, chapter 46. It is Wishing Tree Day officially, and I think the next day is when they cut down red, right? Because all the animals leave, and then they wish tree all day, all night, and then the next day they're cutting down the tree. Saturday morning dawned, clean and cool, even before the sun made itself known. The animals and owls departed the safety of my limbs. Each family had found a new home, all in the nearby trees in the same block. The skunks were going to remain under their porch. It made me happy to know that everyone would be staying in the neighborhood. One by one they nuzzled me, whispering their goodbyes. The babies sniffled, especially Harold and Rosepetal and Flashlight. The parents tried to put on brave faces, but their trembling voices gave them away. It was awful, but I was glad to get it over with. I've always hated goodbyes. Bongo, for her part, insisted on staying with me to the bitter end. I knew better than to argue with her. By 6 in the morning, Stephen and Samar were sitting together on Samar's porch. By 7, Sandy and Max had arrived. They parked across the street and sat in their cruiser, sipping coffee and eating donuts. By 8, 3 local reporters had arrived, armed with microphones and fancy equipment. They took video of the word leave. They talked about its meaning and about how it changed the feel of the neighborhood. They also talked about me, the doomed wish tree. I didn't like that word doomed, but I had to admit it was an accurate reporting. Francesca came at 8:30, carrying a cup of tea and dragging a small wooden ladder, the one she put out every year for the wishmakers. She went back home and promptly returned with Lewis and Clark on their kitty leashes. They were not cooperative. And then the wishes began. A toddler on her dad's shoulders, reaching high. An old woman aided by 2 young girls. Neighbor after neighbor, many of whom I'd seen pass by over the years. Wish after wish after wish. Some on scraps of colorful fabric, many on paper tied with a ribbon or a string. A few socks, 2 t-shirts, and 1 pair of underwear. At first, people came in small groups, or one by one, but then something changed. The trickle of people became a deluge. Many of them were kids from the elementary school, but there were parents and teachers too. A dozen kids, 50, 100, and more. Every person seemed to be carrying an index card. Each card had a hole punched in it, with a piece of string looped through the hole. Stephen high-fived many of them, hugged his principal, waved to his teacher. Samar just sat on the steps with her parents, a quizzical expression on her face. So remember, yes, she was talking about how something was going on at the school and she wasn't sure what was up. I think we're starting to find out. One by one, the children tied their wishes to me. The principal and the assistant principal and the janitor and the teachers all helped. My bows had never been more laden. My heart has never been more hopeful. Because as each child, as neighbor, as each stranger placed a wish upon me, they looked at Samar and her parents and said the same thing. Stay. How cool is that? So some bad apple came and wrote the word leave. A couple people throw raw eggs. But almost the entire school shows up, puts on a wish, looks at Samara, and says, stay. And Stephen probably had a lot to do with that, maybe the principals. But that is pretty cool that a community would come together for a family and say, don't let one person spoil it. We really want you to stay. That makes me happy. So that's pretty cool. Chapter 47. Within an hour, I was covered with the word stay. Extra wishes lay on the ground beneath me, piled like blossoms. Wishes made their way onto the porches and railings, the sidewalk. And maybe just some of it, the word stay means red. Maybe they want red to stay. Interesting thought. I could hear some of you shouting at me, well, no, maybe it's red. Maybe it's both. After 216 rings, I thought I'd seen it all. Turns out, you're never too old to be surprised. Soon it became clear that the stay wishes had been Stephen's idea. With the help of his teacher, Stephen's whole class had secretly worked much of the previous school day making the index cards. Word spread quickly about the project. Before long, the whole school had joined in. So this was your idea? Samar asked Stephen. I had a lot of help, he said. It's a miracle we kept it a secret from you. Samar looked over at her parents. I don't know if this will change anything, she said. Stephen looked over at his parents. Me either. Thank you, though, Samar said, for trying. Stephen started to reply, but just then the Terminator's truck pulled up. The end of my story was coming. Well, it had been a beautiful story. How lucky was I to have seen a day like today? But Stephen and Samara weren't giving up so easily. They ran straight to Francesca, who was busy untangling the kittens around her right leg. Please, Samara begged. You can see how much people love the Wishtree. Please don't cut it down. Child, Francesca said firmly, it's time. Stephen pulled something from his jacket pocket. It was a small leather-bound journal. Oh, so you found it, said Francesca. In the shed? Yep, said Stephen, handing the worn diary to her. It's a little damp, said Francesca. Samara pressed the key, its long ribbon dangling, into Francesca's palm. You should read it. Maybe someday. How about now? Stephen urged. Francesca sighed. You children need a hobby, you know that? She put the key in the silver lock, and the journal clicked open. The pages were yellow, the ink faded. Let me guess. It's about a tree that can talk. Actually, it's about the neighborhood, Stephen said. It's about us. Please, Samar said. Dear, it won't change anything, Francesca said. Please, Stephen said. Oh, fine, Francesca rolled her eyes. Gotta wait for the tree guys to finish getting set up. Sure, I'll glance it over. Maybe then you'll leave me in peace. Dragging Lewis and Clark behind her, Francesca went to Samar's porch, sat on the top step, and began to read. One more chapter, chapter 48. And then we have to finish it the next time. It isn't easy cutting down a big tree. It takes careful planning and people who know what they're doing. I've seen neighboring trees cut down, and I knew how things went. While Sandy and Max moved people to a safe distance, Stephen's parents watched from their porch and Samar's from theirs. Meanwhile, the tree people put ropes around my trunk and consulted with one another. So they're doing it on Wishing Day. I've been all over the place, but when you have to make videos, you're like trying to plan everything. Your brain's not completely focused. So I hope you guys are paying attention. A man and a woman carried over a huge chainsaw followed by a stump grinder. The grinder looked a lot like a hungry animal. Actually, it looked a little like a hungry animal. Actually, it looked a lot like a hungry animal. All those critters gone? Dave called to Francesca. Haven't seen any, she said. She answered. Dave climbed a ladder and peered into my hollows as well as he could. He didn't seem to notice Bongo was hiding deep in the owl's former home. I sat patiently awaiting my fate. While around me the world buzzed, a huge crowd filled the old neighborhoods and new friends had gathered, it seemed, to see me off. Near the curb, some kids were making music. I don't know if it was good music, but it was most definitely loud music. I realized it was the garage band Bongo liked. The whole thing was almost like a party, a going-away party. There it was, surrounding me, my wild and tangled and colorful garden. It wasn't such a bad way to leave the world, I decided. Not bad at all. Oh man, I gotta stop there. Well, hopefully you can watch the next video right away. If not, you have to wait till tomorrow. But, alright, we'll see what happens to Red tomorrow and the rest of Wishtree. Bye-bye, everybody. See you later.